It's 8 o'clock. I guess we'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. So if you're speaking, go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, that's good. So we just really wanted to have a chance to get together with everyone and kind of update you on, we've been very busy, different people in the committee here. We know other people haven't had a chance to work on anything yet. Don't worry, there's still plenty to do and we will still be calling on you. So we have a whole bunch of committee reports and then different programs that are coming up we wanted to let you know about. So I think we'll just start with that. Ellen, you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
And in fact, if we haven't called on you yet, you really and truly, we are going to get to you. We expect to have many, this is only, what we have planned is pretty much through January and February right now. So we're moving along here with a lot. We expect to be, what I used in my Shabbat message, underground for a while longer. So, we'll find you. Believe me, you can hide behind all the rocks you want. We know you're there. So we have plans, big plans, and we're expecting to hear, some of the ideas from you as well. Okay. Want to start with the committee reports?
Sure.
Reads.
Susan.
I saw Susan, right?
Since you're right below me on my screen.
No.
Good evening, everyone. The only news I have is we had a rather successful or very successful Women's League Reads interview with Miriam Sivan in Israel. We had over 80 participants and it was very successful. A lot of positive feeling generated, a lot of post-conversation.
Do you want to give the name of the book again there, in case anyone wants to go back?
Make It Concrete was the name of the book. Miriam very graciously provided some answers to follow-up questions. I shared them with Lois, and Lois, I believe, put on the Women's League Reads page on the website the interview itself, the recording, as well as her follow-up Q&A. So that was very helpful, I think. Thank you, Lois, for doing that. Our next event is scheduled for January 18th. Rabbi Ellen, who's on the call with us, generated a system so people could register directly. And I've already received, Rabbi, 26 messages that people have already signed up for the January 18th Monday evening event. And we're not even into December. So it has a lot of possibilities there for a very large crowd for interviewing Sarah Blake, the author of the guest book. Merle, who's not on the call with us this evening, and I have been working on inviting people to serve as panelists. I have approached some women within Women's League to serve as a panelist to describe or define or discuss the traits of Jewish literature. And Merle has been contacting Jewish women poets. We have already secured one woman poet to participate. I'm having difficulty securing people from within Women's League Reads to serve as panelists for the event on discussing Jewish literature. So that's our latest update.
Susan, do you have a date on that? That one?
The date, I'm sorry, didn't open my notes.
Okay, you might go to chat and just as you come up with some of that, just post the next book title and author and maybe the different dates for the next two programs.
Well, the date for the January program is January 18th, which is a Monday evening. And that book title is The Guest Book. And the author is Sarah with an H, Blake, B-L-A-K-E. And the two events,
Susan,
that was-
just put it on the chat, okay? Because we
Okay.
have a lot of reports. And
Okay.
this way, if people see it in writing, they can write it at their leisure, okay?
Okay, thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
All
And
right.
so if anybody knows anyone that could speak on Jewish literature or poetry, either let us know or let Susan know, and we'll ask around.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are Dana and Karen Weiner here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Do you want to tell about Women's League Shabbat and the materials that are posted?
Right. So Karen Weiner and myself are co-chairs of the Women's League Shabbat or Sisterhood Shabbat program, and we've written Divrei Torah for both the Parsha Vayera, which is for January 16th, 2021, and for an alternate date with the theme of Biyachad. That material has been posted on the Women's League website, along with greetings and an introduction to the materials and messages from Women's League and Torah Fund. And there's also readings that focus on the theme of being together. In addition, we held a workshop on November 23rd, where the material was shared along with information on a program called Hachana Shabbat B'Yachad that was developed and presented by Grace Schessler, and plans for a Rosh Chodesh program that was introduced by Toby Mazer. During that session, suggestions were provided on how each sisterhood might apply the resources during COVID, and questions were answered during the workshop.
There were a lot of questions, and the reason for those workshops were that people were questioning how they would handle Shabbat when some of the various rabbis, their Maradatras, would not allow Zoom. So that was the purpose of that workshop, so that you know that if anybody missed it, Lois, was that edited already, that tape? Great, so that's posted.
Okay.
Okay, good. So, you have a lot of options here to go back and tell you various people that you're representing, region presidents and so forth, to go on that tape to see. They proposed, and they did a great job with this. January 16th materials, take some of those materials. If yours is not on January 16th, take it over to whatever Shabbat it's on. The materials are generic enough, and you've got a generic Devar Torah there as well. And then a third option that Toby proposed. What was the date? It was in March. It was a Rosh
Chodesh in March.
March 14th, Sunday, March 14th.
Sunday, March 14th. So if that was something that could be worked out, and you could use Zoom on that Sunday as a Rosh Chodesh, that could be your Women's League Shabbat. So there are three possible options. We haven't had this before. Now, again, rising to the occasion as things present themselves. So if there's anything you don't understand, contact either Dana. Dana, put your email on chat, put Karen's if you've got it, okay? They will be able to answer any questions, or you can send anybody in your particular region who has a question, send them over and they'll take care of those questions. They did a fabulous job.
All the material is interchangeable if you want to use it at another time. There are programs that Grace proposed that can be used before Shabbat on a Friday evening or early afternoon. And then any of the material can be, rearranged to suit whatever you need to do on your Shabbat or on the way you want to honor sisterhood. And we even talked about the idea that since we're doing it virtually, we could connect with other sisterhoods and make it a bigger group.
And also that this, the pre-Friday night, Grace is on,
Okay.
that can be used. It doesn't have to be a Women's League Shabbat. It could be any Shabbat. You could have it in addition to your Women's League Shabbat. And same thing for the Rosh Chodesh. It doesn't have to necessarily be your Sisterhood Shabbat or Women's League Shabbat. It could be used anytime.
Grace, do you want to add anything? We didn't realize you were on. You need to unmute.
I said no.
Oh, sorry.
I put my email in the chat. If there are any questions on the Chachana program, I'd be happy to answer them.
you want to talk about it at all, just to give it a little better build up than maybe we did?
Oh, well, sure. It's just, given this time when, we have a necessity to use Zoom, some synagogues don't allow it on Shabbat, so we wanted to have an alternative. So based on the theme B'yachad, and based on the Friday night prayers that you would say at home when you're doing candlelighting and motzi and yadayim and kiddush, we interspersed readings that have to do with Shabbat and B'yachad, and it came up with a program that runs about 45 to 55 minutes, depending on how many of the readings you'd like to include. And there's something for everybody, Hebrew and English, and it's just very engaging, and it gives your women a chance to come together in a really meaningful, inclusive kind of way. So read through the materials. I'm sure you'll understand and see the value of this program, not as a replacement for Women's League Shabbat at all, because hopefully you'll be able to do that, but even as an addition to make a longer Shabbaton type weekend, or maybe just this year in lieu of. But even if you are going to do it on Shabbat, on Saturday, still look at the materials, because they'll enhance whatever you have planned. That's really it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Fabulous.
Grace.
I mean, these materials are wonderful. Really you guys did a great job. Okay, Mindy, health and wellness.
Hi, everybody. So we did our most recent program was November 2nd with Naomi Malka on mikveh, the original body of water. And we had over 100 people registered for that event. And I believe it was posted pretty quickly onto the Women's League website. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, to be there, it's there on the Women's League website. I've been doing brief messages about health and wellness topics that have been going out periodically in the This Week in Women's League, most recently before American Thanksgiving, about COVID-19 and update. Prior to that, I did one about breast cancer screening for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. And even before that, I did one about the flu, as flu season, it's here. Flu season is here. So if you haven't gotten your flu shot, let me just remind you all to get your flu shot, get your family members, make sure they get their flu shot. Our next program is tentatively scheduled for February 8th. Trying to get my proposed speaker to commit, and hopefully I'll be speaking to her soon, and we'll get that. But until she commits, I don't even want to give the topic until she commits to me, because I have another topic in my back pocket if that one doesn't work out. So
Good.
So that's where we are. Any questions? All right, everybody.
It was a fabulous, I'm using fabulous because I'm like out of words here. It was really a great program. We've been getting such positive responses on all of these things. It's like, oh, this is like, the bar's really high. Very, very nice. Okay.
Everybody
Vivian?
stay healthy, keep washing your hands.
Yeah. Vivian? Unmute.
Okay. All the programs that we have this year are fabulous. I don't know, maybe it's something about being virtual that enhances things. I don't know, makes us more creative. But we had personal conversations. We had 2 programs so far this year. And the recent one was on October 29th, called When Someone Close to You Comes Out as LGBTQ, Will You Be Knowledgeable and Open-Hearted? It was pretty good. We got 165 people at our peak, I believe. The 2 young rabbis, who are a couple, were very charming and knowledgeable and quite very good presenters. I was very pleased with it. And thank you, Rabbi, for some of the introductions you've been making this year for us. The next one coming up is January 21st. My dates are always Thursdays. The working title is Money Minefields of Aging, How to Avoid Discord in Families. So I'm working on a presenter and different ways we could approach the subject, and that's not all set yet. You'll be hearing more. So the one after that we have for March 18th is it's organ donation, the medical, halachic, psychological, ethical, and practical considerations. And I'm really thinking of downplaying the medical and emphasizing all the others. And maybe there should be a part 2, you know, if it has legs, this program, and people want to hear more about medical aspects. And there's so many ways of approaching it. So I'll update you all on how that program develops. Then there's another one slated for early May. If anyone has a great idea, Personal Conversations embraces a lot. It's not always Jewish, only Jewish. It's Jewish plus what affects us as women. So it's what affects us as women, things we care about personally in our lives through a Jewish lens. If anyone has any, our speakers could be rabbis. I've had a psychologist, different kind authors, professors, different kinds of experts. So if anyone has an idea and a wish for a program, I have, I think, 3 years in this position. Please send them along, and thank you. I think, what else do I have here? I do want, I've had a conversation with Mindy about collaborating at some point with Health and Wellness, and we'll work on something in the future. This, you know, we're all rolling out and getting started this year. It may even move to the beginning to next year, our collaboration, but we're thinking together on how we can collaborate. We've also had a conversation with Mindy and I with Social Justice Karen Block. Yes, so we want to talk also about integrating the different things that Women's League is doing with our programs.
A lot of overlapping topics
Yes.
with other groups.
Yes,
committees.
that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The recordings are on the website. Personal Conversations pop up in a couple of different tabs on the website, under programs, under services to members. So you have to look there to find it. And under the news tab when there's a fresh recording.
Thank
Thanks.
you. They were a really delightful couple. They were really good, and lots of questions afterwards, and they were very gracious about answering them. Virtual tefillot, Debbie, you're here, right? Thought we saw Debbie.
I actually added in Corinne.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry,
sent
Corinne.
out.
Corinne, I'm sorry, Corinne. Are you unmuted? I skipped you. I didn't mean to.
Now I'm unmuted.
Okay.
That's quite okay. And my portfolio is actually pretty new to Women's League. I have environment. I've always had a tremendous interest in the environment. And I think that as Jews, we should be more aware of our environment. If you remember Adam and Eve, they were in an amazing environment and mankind destroys it. So we have to make sure we have it for the future. Anyway, I was lucky enough to be asked by Women's League to represent Women's League at an environmental organization called Hazon. This was on October the 8th. And it was a day conference. It was a half day from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And what it was we had different breakout sessions. So most people went to like 2 sessions during the course of the day. You could choose. Unfortunately, you would love to go to all 4, but time, you couldn't do that. So what I went to, the first one was about meatless eating, which was really, really interesting. And we were encouraged when we can to have a shul event and maybe cater purely meatless. And an idea that I had was if something like that ever happened, maybe sisterhoods could research different meatless meals, and we could make a little recipe book or something, but preserving the environment and not killing the cattle, right? So, and everything else that goes with it. And then this could be accompanied by a talk on why we should save our planet. It's stressed that we need to make sure we're mindful of what happens to our food waste. It's very important. There were suggestions and discussions of schools having a compost area. And the theme of that little bit was what we take from the earth, we should give back to the earth. So composting is amazing because you're giving back and you're able to regenerate from that. And the next thing was, how about synagogues growing their own vegetables? And I think this would be another fantastic sisterhood program. How nice it would be to be at a shul or sisterhood event and serve soup made from veggies that we had grown in the shul premises. And remember, no plastic. The next session I attended, and I found incredibly fascinating, was they planted what was known as a sacred Jewish garden. So the person who spoke about it said they had their own herb garden and flowers, and they used all those things that they had grown in a Jewish way. So, so like for Havdalah, what you smell, those herbs could be grown in the synagogue and can be used for Havdalah. There was talk about growing an etrog tree. And then they said how seeds could be dried and gourds put inside gourds, like for a graga, for Purim. There were all these amazing ideas, and having a part of the garden which was sacred, like a sacred space where you could go and sit and meditate or pray, surrounded by this wonderful Jewish garden. And I just found this so fascinating. It was incredible.
A lot of ideas coming out of that. That sounds great.
I returned home. I returned home very excited and very invigorated. And I really thought, what fantastic ideas. Unfortunately, I could only attend 2 of the sessions. But I really do believe that we are destroying the environment for our future generations, and that we all have to consciously make an effort to preserve it and to preserve our oceans and our skies and everything that Hashem has created for us. So I think it's a portfolio that has a tremendous amount of opportunity. And if anyone is interested in working with me or giving me ideas, that would be fantastic, because right now I'm a one-man show, but that's okay, one-woman show, and that's fine, but there's so much to it.
You know what?
So it's a wonderful topic.
You could get a little committee, and if there's anybody on here who wants to work with Corinne,
I would love that.
That would be great. Corinne, post your email on here. And
I will do that.
You've got programming. There's a wealth of stuff there. So maybe the 2 of you want to talk.
Absolutely, because it could be so well adapted to be used in sisterhoods and in synagogues. Just think about recycling, think about a compost heap, think about the things that we've spoken about. And there's just so much we can do, to help. There's a wealth of stuff. And the other thing I wanted to do is do workshops with sisterhoods, and perhaps do more the Jewish aspect of looking in the Torah for references to the environment, because there are many, and discussing them, etc. So there's a lot that I'd like to do with it.
All right.
Great.
Okay, so there are people out here that certainly we can make the shidduch here, and get you together. And if you know anybody in your sisterhood who's really interested in this, you also might have somebody contact, in any of your sisterhoods, contact Corinne, because it would be really nice
Absolutely.
to get other people involved at this level as well on some of these
And
committees.
people, and I don't want to overtalk, but so many people, excuse me saying so, are really ignorant about the environment and about pollution and about preserving the oceans and preserving the skies. I happen to know quite a bit about that. And there is just such a wealth of stuff to talk about.
Good.
So
But it'll be a good tie-in to the Tu B'Shvat Paula Scheuer program
Absolutely.
that we're going to talk about, since that's all plant-based. So we'll get
absolutely,
to
I'm
that
very excited about
shortly.
that. Maybe I can work together with them on that.
And yeah, there's
lot of it ties
probably,
in.
you know, when we get there, and Edna, you're there, I know you're on. Maybe there's some way, we had talked about maybe including you. Rabbi's going to talk about the mitzvot. Julia's going to talk about vegan eating. I know I'm giving the report here. Sorry, Edna. And there'll be certainly a place, you know, for you on that. As well.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corinne,
Okay.
put your email on there.
I will do that.
Okay. All right. Now, Debbie Leber.
Debbie, thank you.
Thank you,
Hello.
Corinne.
Hello.
Hi,
So
Debbie.
Toby and I have been a little bit busy. We've been helping Rabbi Ellen to transition from the women's or to the members' daily Psalms and Kaddish to Pirkei Avot, and that's been going very well. People have been signing up. I think people were a little hesitant until they saw somebody other than the rabbi teach it to realize that it is doable. In the fall, Toby and I helped lead Hallel for Sukkot, and that was fun to actually be in our Sukkot doing Hallel outside. I'm continuing to manage the Sign Up Genius. I'm getting a little bit better at it. And Toby regularly infuses our daily gathering with poetry and special reading. She's like the poetry guru. And we fill in gaps as needed for different parts. And we're hoping soon to either organize a healing circle or a Rosh Chodesh service. So that's to come when life is a little less busy with holidays. And that's all I have.
When is that? The holidays keep coming.
Maybe February. I don't know. We haven't worked it out yet.
You know, we can't say enough really about this daily, everybody's still calling it Psalms, and that Rabbi's smiling. Rabbi, you want to talk about it a little bit, because how meaningful this is?
Yes. So we started it on March 15th, not really realizing that we'd be doing it for so long that we finished all the Psalms, all 150 of them, in order to say Kaddish each day with a service like this, which I've said that 10 people together on the screen is a service, because you could probably communicate better with people like this than you could sitting in pews with everybody in your synagogue. So we do now still say the psalm for the day, but that's not going to change because it's the same psalm every day. And we do some studying, and the Pirkei Avot teaching might be maybe tops 30 words, but there's like endless amount of information that you can learn about it. And it's really an incredible community of healing. I mean, we say Mishaberach every day. We read the Kaddish together. We hear who has had a sorrow, who has a happiness, and it's really incredible. I think we average between 70 and 80 people who watch it live, and then we stream it on our Facebook page, and that reaches, I get an account, like hundreds of people. So don't think that just because you've never been on, you can't. Everyone's always welcome, and literally everyone is welcome. It's not something that's for members only and just for women. We have plenty of men that are with us as well, and people who haven't been on Women's League before. So it's really quite amazing, and I want to thank Debbie and Toby for everything they've done for it.
Is there an official new name for this group, or we haven't decided yet?
We did, but we're still in discussion. Should we say what it was or not yet?
Yes.
No.
So we're thinking about Makom as a place and Makom Biyachad, a place together, because we don't want it to just be for women. And it also we'll always remember that the Torah Fund pin ironically was Biyachad this year. So, and Makom is a special place to just be together. And also Makom is another name for God.
Oh, that's interesting.
But we have not officially called it that yet. So.
Got
Unless
it.
we want to after today. say
That's
that.
why we're all still calling it Psalms.
Oh, yes.
I
Even
think
though,
after Makom B'Yachad, it'll still be Psalms. You know, that's just the way people know it. I have to tell you, I got on Thursday when, you know, it was such an easy Thanksgiving with just two of us. I had time, and a lot of the Canadian women, our Canadian sisters, were on. There were about 10 or 12 people. And we just sat and chatted, and it was no formality. And people really showed the closeness that they've gotten as far as being on there. It's a really supportive group. And we've done Shiva Minyanim on it. We've done healing, as Rabbi mentioned. We've really listened to people when they've had something that they've, you know, Yortzeit or whatever it was that was very significant. And they were talking about it. And for many, it's become sort of the daily sisterhood meeting that they have. And they've got this whole new group of sisters that they truly feel as if are there for them. So this is something we would encourage you to, if there's somebody you know who needs it and would like it, but we encourage you to try it as well. It's a really wonderful, you know, something that emerged. And I will not say silver lining. I don't say silver lining. However, I think that this is something that is, you know, out of something that could have gone a totally different way. There's been something very, very productive and supportive here. Okay.
it's also been a chance for people to, you know, as we keep saying, step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so people who haven't sung in public before, or singing the Misha Berach, or people who are stretching to teach something or teaching for the first time, or, you know, there's roles. Now we're reading the Psalm for the day every day. So we need people for that. There's four roles a day, I think, for women. So
Sometimes even more.
I was
Yeah,
going to
right.
say at least 4.
right.
So.
And a lot of interesting discussion too, and very topical kinds of things. So, all right. So some upcoming ongoing programs, you know, some upcoming, some ongoing. Divrei Nashim, Julia, do you want to talk about that?
So I didn't reach out, but I want to thank Stella Ann and Bornstein Judy Galler for volunteering to head this up. We mentioned it a little bit at our first meeting. We weren't sure. We've had people write these Divrei Nashim are the words of women. And so we've had some people write about their experiences during these COVID times, and we wanted to find a way to share it. And Stella Ann and Judy are going to work together to figure that out. I don't know, do you guys want to say anything about that?
No, just that it's that
Okay.
we're still thinking about it. Actually, listening to the Pirkei Avot, also known as Psalms, I wonder if there isn't some duplication there, except this is, it's more free form talking. Am I right?
I mean, there is free form talking when people get on early. And I think that that's just a sign that people are looking for that connection and for people to talk with. So I don't think it's duplication. I think
Okay.
that shows that it's needed.
Okay. So good. So then that's perfect then. So we kind of have a model then, and I'll try and tune in more so I can get a sense of what it is. I've been put it in my phone every day, so now I won't forget.
You'll get a sense of that if you get on a half hour before
Okay.
the actual Psalms. That's when they come in, and they've really talked about, so, you know, it's run the gamut on a lot of things. So you'll see people are anxious to talk, to
Great.
connect. So, you know, and also if you want to write on some experience that you've had, something that you've noticed during these COVID times, you know, please, they'll be looking for new material as we go through it. Certainly with, you know, when Mindy said, talking about the flu shot, the vaccines, what will it be like? You know, I've been reading, and I'm sure, Mindy, you definitely have, you know, whether people will actually want to take that vaccine, you know, knowing that it's experimental and hasn't gone through the usual gamut of testing, or will they not?
Depends on what Dr. Fauci says.
That's dangerous when we call it experimental.
Well,
It's not, the experiments have been done. It's safe.
All right.
all right, whatever. Okay,
but
I've read
also-
it both ways, whatever. Okay, you're talking to a layperson here.
The idea
English, I can
behind
tell
this
you,
was
yes, I
that
can.
the
However, they've been talking about these things, and there are a lot of things that it will be evolving. This is a very organic kind of thing with these Divrei Nashim. We felt this year we wanted to do something a little more contemporary. So now we've got all these writings, and we'd love to add to them. And then what do we do with them? So that's hopefully what's happening with the Divrei Nashim. So thank you, Judy and Stella Ann. Okay,
But
Edna.
I just want to add with Divrei Nashim that a lot of the writings that we had were sort of toward the middle of the summer, just after this term, Women's League term started. And the idea behind it was to make these discussions contemporaneous with what people were experiencing. So now as time has gone on, people have experienced a Zoom high holidays and Zoom Thanksgiving and Zoom birthdays, whatever occasions, and it will go on, and we'll have Zoom Hanukkah and hopefully, not Zoom Purim, but it could look like that. So what is that going to be like? And so we if you feel inspired, if you're the type of person who journals or something like that for your experiences, it would be great. They're very short. It's like 3 paragraphs on it. So just if something strikes you and you want to jot it down, just send it to Judy or Stella Ann.
Can you post your emails on there? On the chat?
Sure.
Judy,
Okay.
Judy, post mine also, because I'm not
Okay.
going to chat business.
I'm still in secretary. Okay.
Okay, good to know.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. So you'll hear, you all will hear more about that.
All right,
We'll
Edna,
work on it.
Yes, I'm
Paula
here.
Sawyer, Tu B'Shvat. I know I did have to
Okay,
report
so
it.
in honor of the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, Paula Scheuer is going to demonstrate 3 plant-based dishes. Corinne, when you talked about it, I just, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we're doing. And, we felt, since it's the birthday of the trees and it's very environmental, that putting anything other than plant-based would be not appropriate. So she is going to do, I believe, charred cauliflower, a Georgian quinoa with beets and walnuts, and her famous chocolate quinoa cake.
Mm.
So the recipes will be sent out when people register. And we are putting this together as an education program, not just a cooking demonstration. So we are very fortunate to have Rabbi Ellen is going to talk to us about the mitzvah of Tu B'Shvat. And Julia is going to talk to us about vegan and vegetarianism. And
In Judaism.
In Judaism, yes. And it should be really a very interesting program. Aside from the fact Paula loves being with Women's League, this is one of her favorite places to be, other than my sisterhood, I will say that. She always jokes when she comes to my sisterhood, she's at my synagogue more than she's at hers, which probably is not true. But Paula and I met at the Baltimore convention, and we became friends. So I'm really happy that she's doing this and she's excited about doing it. And I think it should be a very nice way for us to bring in Tu B'Shvat a couple days later.
And even though she's sending out the recipes, this is a demo class.
It's a demo.
It's not a cook along with Paula.
No,
class.
It's not going to be that because we don't have as much time. Also, one of the recipes is from her new cookbook that's coming out. It's an Instant Pot cookbook, but she's going to cook it not in an Instant Pot. So there's going to be that additional thing because that's not what we're setting up for. So it should be very nice.
All right.
And that'll
thank
be
you.
a busy month. I
Very.
bet the last 2 weeks in January, there are this program, Vivian's program, Grace has a program that week. So there'll be a lot going on.
Lois, another January program. Jews in comedy. You want to talk about it? Very quickly, so you don't give away
It's
your
going to
program.
be a very quick course, 3 sessions, Jews in comedy, whether they're behind the screen or in front of the screen. And it'll start with people like Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Molly Goldberg, Burns and Allen, Jack Benny, and go as far as I can go in terms of television history. I have never been able to teach a course and get past 2000. So that's about it. It will include video clips, and hopefully there'll be time for questions and answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, starting with busy January, and she'll go January, February, and March. And that was set up that way so she would surround Purim, which it seemed to be appropriate with comedy. So, okay, Hebrew classes. All right, we are still going on with the Hebrew classes. We have 3 that are going on right now, and we have a number of teachers that will be added to that. So we could have about 6 or 7 classes, what we're calling second semester, which right now is probably February to May. These are not very long semesters. The difference with the second semester is we will probably go, except for holidays, Purim, Passover specifically in that time period, and I don't think we'll possibly Shavuot. So obviously those won't, if whatever comes out on Fridays will not be meeting. But we will be meeting pretty much almost every Friday afternoon for about an hour. And we are having, if you look on your agenda, we are having a meeting next week, the 8th of December, 2:30 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, with all of our Hebrew teachers that we have right now. And I really wanted to thank Carol Green. I don't know if she's on. Carol Green is on?
Yes, I got on.
You got on. Well, Carol Green, Carol Greenberg, because we like Carol Green, so we went to Carol Greenberg. Carol, you're on as well, aren't you? Carol Greenberg.
Yep.
And
I'm
Amy,
here.
is Amy on? Amy's not on.
Amy, I didn't see.
Okay. So we've got 3 teachers, 2 beginner, one that was sort of calling advanced beginner, intermediate. And we really didn't know when this started how it was going to play out. So we have a waiting list already leftover from last time. And there were a number of women that really want to be part of this. So we're having a meeting on next week on the 8th to talk about how we might best utilize our teachers and still meet the needs and the desires as far as Hebrew for our women. There's a lot of interest from not knowing the alphabet to knowing how to lead certain prayers, wanting to learn how to lead other prayers, wanting to be a little more fluent in your reading, maybe a little conversation. And that's a pretty broad list of ways we might handle the Hebrew, but we want to meet the needs of as many women as we can, certainly starting with the desire to learn how to read. So we'll talk about that next week and kind of figure out where we're headed with this. And we'll get that hopefully the middle of December, maybe around December 20th or so. You'll start seeing the registration over December and January for these classes. And if you know of somebody who is interested, please ask them to register early. We filled up pretty quickly with just those 3 teachers, trying to keep them to 10 to 13 per class. Because it's done virtually, it was a little different teaching experience, both for the students, as you can tell, just being in this situation, as well as the teacher. So we felt that the optimum number of students was somewhere between 10 and 13, and they've kind of played out to about 11 right now. So with 7 classes, we're talking 75, 77 students probably at the most. So they do fill up pretty quickly. Do you want to add anything? Any of the teachers want to add anything?
I just
Carol
want to
or
say that
Carol?
we're going to try to be because we had no idea what the demand would be, whether we could even fill a class, and we were just pleasantly surprised at how excited people were to be doing this. And but also the beginner class, we have a textbook. I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's been pretty good so far that people have liked that. But we were less clear about what the intermediate class, it was anyone who wasn't a beginner. So I think we're going to try to refine that a little bit for the next time, so that we had a lot of switching back and forth from the classes. And I think part of that was because people didn't really know what they were signing up for, because we didn't know what they were signing up for. So I think this meeting next week will help clarify that, and then we'll be able to do a better course description for the people that are signing up, and I think that will be more helpful to them.
Julia?
Mm-hmm.
One of my students asked if I could teach Yiddish, and I said no, but that I would bring it to you. She was interested in a Yiddish class.
We can talk about that one next week.
Anyone here teach Yiddish? That's interesting.
Anyway, we did have a sort of placement conversation last time. Can you read the alphabet? And some said they could read it, and they really couldn't read it as fluently as they probably needed to. So it was a new situation, and we were trying to, as Julia said, refine it and get the subtleties of the situation. So hopefully this, with more people on this committee, and not in such a reactive mode, we'll do a little better on placement and so forth, and figuring out what we want to devote our time so the time is better spent in a lot of ways. Okay, the bat mitzvah classes. All right. Does anybody from any of the bat mitzvah sessions want to say anything, rather than hearing just Julia and me talk? No. Yes. Volunteers.
Well, we've really only had 2.
That's true.
So,
and what kinds of things have we talked about?
It's difficult to really make a proper assumption after 2, but I think that it's certainly going to be very, very educational, and everyone will get out of it different things, because everyone's coming to it with a different level of knowledge. But it's really exciting to be doing it. And one question, the Hebrew course, are we able to do it as well? Because we need it for the bat mitzvah class. So
yes.
The Hebrew you were talking about, is that relevant to us as well?
Yes, and actually, if you're a beginner, everybody should be in that bat mitzvah class, finishing the bat mitzvah program, having the ability to fluently read.
So we should be putting our names down for this as well. So
yes.
Can we do that on Thursday night? Can we talk about it?
No, but we'll mention it. You know what? Remind us. We'll talk about it Thursday
night.
Yeah,
because I'm sure there are other people who would want to.
We're not doing sign up just yet on that, but as soon as we do, just sign up quickly. We have talked a little bit about sacred time, sacred place. Debbie, we've had Debbie Goldich. I see you're on now. We had Debbie Lempert. We had Toby Holtzman. We had Rabbi, introducing different prayers, different ways that we develop a sacred place. And it's been an interesting discussion on that. Certainly Debbie Lempert and Toby Holtzman brought that discussion to bear as we went into the high holidays. But then it became a more formalized kind of thing in the bat mitzvah class, because we were thinking about how do we create, when we walk into, a synagogue, or we walk into some place where we're going to have a minyan, how do we create that sacred place? And then how do we create sacred time? And so we actually dovetailed with the Mishnah class that we had last year. And we talked about the Shema and looked at the Shema as it appeared, a discussion about the Shema in the Mishnah. So we took one of the lessons that we had with the Mishnah class over the 18 months last year and 6 months before that, And we discussed some of the things related to the Shema. We discussed what the Mishnah is and so forth. This Thursday night, we are, all right, Julie, you want to talk about this one?
So we have a guest rabbi, Rabbi Abby Sharovsky, who's actually in the DC area here. And there's it'll be a 3-class unit on prayer. And she's going to start us off with the structure of prayer for this class this Thursday. So we're looking forward to hearing, and I'm sure, again, people in the class will enjoy hearing from someone else other than Ellen and me. So
yeah. But, we'll have a lot of guest rabbis. And that's always, it's always very invigorating, I think, as a student to hear lots of different voices and lots of different points of view. So we're very lucky to have, and Rabbi's been helping us with this, with finding these speakers. So Rabbi, just to let them know the kinds of people that we're having, can you
Yes.
fill
Hopefully
that
I
in?
remember the order, but I know that we have 2 others coming on for, I have it right here. Okay. So I have the right
Ilana
order.
Garber.
So Ilana Garber, who's a rabbi of rabbinic development or something like that. She has a new title at the Rabbinical Assembly. She was a pulpit rabbi in West Hartford, Connecticut for a long time. February 11th is Rabbi Jan Kaufman, who worked for the Rabbinical Assembly forever, and Charles E. Smith. She's amazing. And on March 11th, we're allowing a man to teach. So Rabbi David Fine is teaching. It's a class on kashrut. And I tried to get him specifically because he has one aspect of kashrut that most of us have no idea about. He's a shochet also. And he goes to Germany often, and that's why he learned how to become a shochet. So he's going to teach about that.
Okay.
So it should
Thank you.
be pretty
So
great.
You've all got a sense of what's going on. And I mean, this is a 3-year commitment. If there's anybody, and this is the absolute last time, but no more after this Thursday, if there's anybody who wants to sign up, this is the last week, but we will sort of let you in the door. So just, let us know, either one of us or Rabbi, and we'll work it out. But, really and truly, okay? Because we're trying to formalize this enough. This is a real commitment. Okay, programs of
Wait,
opportunity.
Can I just
Hold
ask you a
on.
question?
Dana had a question.
Dana, sorry.
Well, I think
have a question.
because I was wondering if it was still something we should let other people know about in case more people want to sign up.
Well, absolutely yes, but this week is truly like Tuesday, Wednesday. The last 2 days, if there's somebody. It was in Women's League week, numerous weeks. We didn't shut that one out. So hopefully they would have read that. But if you know somebody for some reason who did not sign up and wants to, it would be this last week. As Corinne said, we've had 2 formal classes. It's easy enough to fill in. They were both taped, so somebody could get to them, and then get this one on Thursday as we go into 3 weeks of discussion on the Siddur, okay, and the structure of the Siddur.
Can I
All
ask
right.
you a question?
Sure.
You're muted, Corinne.
Did you make up the syllabus?
No. The syllabus is a Melton syllabus that was actually written for Women's League a number of years ago. It was written specifically for Women's League. So we kind of resurrected it and looked at it. Rabbi sat down with Julie and me, and we went over it, and it's a pretty extensive one. So yes, that was commissioned specifically for Women's League.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So, okay, programs of opportunity. Rabbi, you want to talk about that one? The Hanukkah, what we planned for the 2 Hanukkah nights?
Yes. So there is a Women's League wide Hanukkah candle lighting on the Monday night. And there's an author that wrote a book who happened to approach us, and it fit in well. She's from New Jersey, and she's going to be speaking. I'm just looking up her exact name. Her name is Judy Petzunk, P-E-T, Petzunk, and she wrote a book called Justice, Maccabees, and the Pharisees, which is very cool because part of what she talks about is about Shimon ben Shetach, who, if you're on Pirkei Avot, he came up in one of our teachings already. So what happened when the Maccabees became kings, and she's written a book all about this. It won't be a long program because I know a lot of other places, other regions are having events that evening as well. And then on December 16th, and this is our third year that we've had a virtual candle lighting. Like Women's League was doing this way before everybody else. Then on December 16th, we specifically have a meet and greet for our individual members and region presidents so that individual members feel part of it, because, you know, they don't necessarily come from a specific sisterhood like most of us do, but so they have a sense of all of that. And then I'm sure that we'll be doing something during Hanukkah time and Pirkei Avot too. We'll pop in a song or a reading or something like that. So, anything else?
By what night was the author of the Justice Maccabees and the Pharisees?
That's on the Monday night of Hanukkah. So what is that, the 14th?
Okay.
The 14th.
Yes, it's the 14th.
Yes. And that information will be in the Women's League week that will be coming out shortly.
Women's League Week is really, we'll have all of this, but if you have specific questions, that's why I'm asking people to at least post their email addresses, you know, or you can always ask Julia or me or Rabbi, and we'll kind of know what's happening on this. Somebody had hands up. Go ahead. Wendy?
Rabbi, could you give the date and the time that the the region presidents are supposed to be meeting with the individual members that you just mentioned?
December 16th at 6:30 Eastern time.
Thank you. I heard the 16th, but I didn't hear the time.
So this was an author that came from Jacob Blumenthal, who's head of the RA. Yes.
And United Synagogue. He's
the and United Synagogue.
He's the CEO of both organizations.
So it was kind of, he had suggested this author. That's why I called it Programs of Opportunity. And these things are going to come up throughout the year too. We'll hear about something and we'll find a place to slot it in.
And that's how the Paula Shoya one came up, because Edna mentioned Paula Shoya wanted to do a program with Women's League. We said, great, Tu B'Shvat, let's do that. We haven't done too much with that. And we know that, you know, certainly Women's League has had a Tu B'Shvat kind of program. If you go, by the way, on the website and you look up some of the programs, the education programs there is one specifically for Tu B'Shvat that was written a number of years ago, but it's very relevant in a lot of ways. So if you get things out of the Paula Shoya program and you want to continue, as Corinne had mentioned, and I suggested to Grace, you know, for future programming, this is something that there is something written there that may need tweaking, may need updating, but you can, you know, kind of, you don't have to create the wheel again. The wheel's there. It may look kind of old, but it's definitely there. All right. Okay, so we expect to have many more of these programs of opportunity. And what we're asking you is, if you know of something that might be a possible program of opportunity, at least tell one of us and we can kind of see it. We may not say yes to everything, but certainly we're looking for things that can enhance our program, because we're trying to come up with as much programming as possible. That seems to be what people want. Programming and education. So Grace is working along with us, and we're kind of, you know, melding the two areas and looking for different things that will keep the interest level very high. You can see that there's one more upcoming meeting on the agenda under number 3, new initiatives. And we're already at an hour, and we were trying to keep this as close to an hour. So I don't want to go, and I don't think Julia wants to go much longer than this. But we have a short committee meeting for 8 o'clock on January 4th. For anybody who is on this committee who hasn't been assigned anything, okay, we're inviting you. So it should be a small committee. We've contacted a couple of people already, but if you're already doing something, you're busy enough and you may not be through yet. So there are a few of you that have gotten an invitation to be at that meeting. About 3, I think we went up to about 5 people, in addition to Julia, to me, and to the rabbi. for January 4th, 2021, okay, 2021, at 8 o'clock. And if you are on this committee and you did not get an email, please let us know. You're certainly invited. And we want to know that you're there and you're interested in this. This would be to look at some new initiatives, maybe to come up with it, brainstorm a little bit. So again, you know, that's out there and that's the meeting. Just send us a privately, okay, on the chat. Let us know that you're there and you haven't been assigned anything and you'd really like to participate in that. All right, number 4, new ideas for programs and initiatives. We were hoping that we would have time to talk about it, but we wanted to update you on everything. And you can see this is a pretty extensive list. And, you know, we really have a lot of things going, but some possible ideas that have been thrown our way a little bit and suggested
And
is
these
one,
have all
is how to
come-
write- what?
These have all come from things like Carol Greenberg said, somebody in her class asked for this. So these things have come from our members. You know, could you do a class on this? So that's what these ideas are from.
We heard from a number of places how to write a Devar Torah. That came out of Bat Mitzvah, it came out of Hebrew classes, it came out of the Psalms classes, because people are doing these kinds of things. And specifically, even in anticipation of Women's League Shabbat, where people may want to do an additional Devar Torah or as part of future programming. So if you would like to work on that a little bit or lead the class or participate, we certainly want you to, you know, let us know. How to lead services. This came out of, you know, some of these Hebrew classes and so forth. So again, the same thing. And we'll probably talk about some of these things at that new initiatives meeting, but we wanted to let you know as well. Renee Glazer had proposed having a possible support group on dealing with those of us who have parents still or of a generation that, you know, needs to be able to support our parents during this COVID time in particular and so forth. So that's something we have to talk about. Vivian is trying to contact Renee right now as part of one of her programs. So she and I will talk tomorrow on that. Okay, Vivian? And, you know, there are a lot of things. So what we're asking you to do is very seriously think about some things that might be possible initiatives. We're really just trying to get these things down and get them calendared, because we seem to be in competition with a lot of other organizations that are doing many of these things. However, we're ahead of a lot of them and we want to stay ahead. And, you know, our women are asking for many of these things. So
and if you hear things from your region or your sisterhood, let us know too, because it could be something that could be done on the region level, or it could be done, and it could be done on a wider scale for all of the Women's League members.
And encourage everybody in your regions to really read, you know, the Women's League updates and Women's League Week, because many of these things that some of you are asking about on the chat are publicized and the registration forms are on there. So this should give you a really good overview of what's going on. We expect to have a full education committee meeting. This is our second one, every 3 months. So the next one will probably be March, you know, depending on when we get it calendared. Did we get a date yet, Rabbi?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll send it out when we get it.
You'll know.
Sorry, not yet.
Soon. So please.
And we did have
a calendar.
We had a lot of people, like, especially for the Hebrew class, because we capped that registration. We have a lot of people that said, I never saw anything about it, but it was in Women's League Week, probably 4 weeks until we stopped just decided we had too many people already and we stopped the registration on that. And so people have to look at it to know about these things. So make sure you're sharing any of the region presidents, that you're sharing it in your Shabbat message, that it's getting out. If you hear people say, oh, I never get that, we need to figure out why they don't get it. Have they unsubscribed? Do we not have their email address? And that's why they don't get it. So.
All right. Any questions on anything here? You've had a lot kind of presented to you tonight, but you should have a sense of what's going on with all of this with education.
That's amazing. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just on the topic of the environment, I've just written a children's book that has just been published. This is my book, and it's called Sydney the Brave Shark. And part of it encourages children to be more aware of the environment and the oceans, and it touches on many other themes as well. So that could also be part of a program at some point.
Okay, so that's why I'm sending you to talk to Grace, talk to, Edna, and we'll get some of this. And if you want to type your book title on the chat, Corinne, that would be great. Anybody else, just because we've gone for a while here and you all look a little glassy-eyed. Any last questions before we close this out?
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to say I got on a little late. I was actually somewhere else at another meeting. I want to thank everyone that's on tonight, especially Ellen and Julia, for everything they're doing. I can tell you that the positive comments about all the educational programs that we're promoting through Women's League are getting great reviews. And so I thank every one of you on this committee, and especially Rabbi, who is our great educator. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Your big part is a part of the collective effort of everything that we're doing in Women's League, and I thank you. I'm counting, I think there's 10 region presidents on tonight, and I'm blown away that with all the meetings you have that you got onto this call tonight, so I thank you for that. And all the people that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's great. So thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. And thank you. Take a quick look at the chat if you haven't done so. Anise, thank you. I just saw yours. Edna, Corinne, Grace. Anise's suggestion was the environment might be a natural collaboration with Karen Block and the social action team. So that's another place.
It's so broad.
Okay. Then I think, is there anything else we missed? No. Susan, you've got a couple of suggestions I think were sent to you privately. And
send any ideas, just email us or come to that initiative meeting in the first week in January. And
yes,
that would be great. And because that'll be a smaller group and we'll be able to brainstorm then.
That was January 4th at 8 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Stay safe.